strategy is me leaving with my hand, rolls and everybody mouth dropping. That's how I can, sums it up. And I slapped Steven so hard.
Yeah, that looked real.
They here to test me for steroids.
Terence Crawford has just issued a stern warning to Canelo Alvarez ahead of their much-anticipated September clash. However, Eddie Hearn shared his thoughts on the fight between Canelo Alvarez and Terence Crawford, saying that he has always wanted Canelo to win because of the time he has spent working with him. However, after spending time with Crawford and Riyadh, Hearn admitted that Crawford's strong mindset and confidence made a big impression on him. He explained that Crawford true.
Are you still favoring Crawford in the fight, or has your opinion changed?
I mean, I've always favoured Canelo in the fight.
Well, I've heard that you want Canelo to win, but you
of
feel
course,
big.
yeah. I like Terence. I've worked a lot with Canelo, and I think just because of what I saw in Riyadh and because of and he's getting on as well, Crawford, but it's just like the mindset of Crawford. Like, there's no doubt in Terence Crawford's mind that he wins this fight. And when you spend a bit of time with him, you kind of start buying into that. And I guess that's what happened in Riyadh, because I travelled with him to the fight, and but it's a 50-50 fight. I think gun to head, I'm probably picking Crawford right now. But I want Canelo to win. And he can win for sure. But Terence is going to make it really tricky and awkward for him. And I don't think he's going to like that kind of fight.
Moreover, Terence Crawford's sparring partner, Troy expressed confidence in Crawford's training, saying that size will not be an issue and that Crawford is fully prepared for the big fight. Ely stated that his son Terence will be prepared and ready to handle the situation when it comes. When pressed for a prediction, Ely said he feels Crawford will win, but he wants to watch how things go before calling a halt.
My boy Terence gonna be ready. You see the size, ain't nothing. My boy Terence gonna be ready. We gonna be locked in. It's a big fight. And my boy Terence gonna take care of business, and he ready for it.
How do you think? You got a prediction? Obviously, you think he's gonna win. Do you think you'll stop him?
I gotta see it. My prediction is Terence will win. However, I gotta see.
Terence Crawford, on the other hand, has made it plain that he is completely focused on his fight with Canelo Alvarez. He refused to reveal his combat strategy, but did comment that his aim is to leave with his hand raised and everyone's mouth open in shock.
I ain't gonna break it down to you, how it's gonna happen, but the strategy is me leaving with my hand, rolls and everybody mouth dropping. That's how I can, sums it up.
Furthermore, Terence Crawford stated that he does not see himself pursuing Canelo Alvarez, but rather wants the chance to meet the best boxer of his time. He declared Canelo the most accomplished boxer in the sport today, aside from himself, and voiced his desire to fight another great boxer. Crawford thinks a fight between him and Canelo would be the most important fight in boxing right now.
I'm chasing Canelo, I think that's a broad statement. I just want the opportunity, to fight the best fighter in my generation that's out there. He's the most accomplished fighter in today's sports of boxing, other than myself. And I would just like to, fight another great. That's it. I think it'll be the biggest fight in the sport of boxing.
However, Terence Crawford's popularity skyrocketed once stories emerged that he knocked out a sparring partner with a single slap. The astonishing power sparked speculations, with some saying he was being tested for steroids. During training camp, he astonished both fans and experts with his strength and intensity.
I slapped Steven so hard.
Yeah, that looked real.
They here to test me for steroids.
Let's go. 1, 2. Damn, man.
Moreover, Anthony Durrell expressed his excitement for the fight, stating it will be a thrilling job, especially with Crawford moving up in weight class. He stressed that training with larger competitors in the gym is not the same as trading blows in a real bout, where every shot seems sharper and more dangerous. Darrell thinks the most important concern is whether Crawford can deal with Canelo's physical power throughout multiple rounds. Nonetheless, he voiced faith in Crawford's training and chose to step up, stating that Crawford would never enter such a bout unless he was completely prepared. When asked who he would bet on, Darrell swiftly and boldly identified Terence Crawford as his choice.
Good fight. I think Crawford is coming up in weight. Everybody want to know how he's going to handle Canelo's power. I think Crawford has sparred bigger people, but not fought big people without a headgear. It's totally different sparring and fighting, because you're going to feel that punch in fighting for sure. So we got to see how he handles it, but I think he'll handle it, or he wouldn't be going up. I mean, it's Terence Crawford. If he know he can do it, he can do it. 100%.
If you had to put money on it, who would you put money on?
Terence Crawford. 100%. Yeah.
Amir Khan commented on the forthcoming fight between Terence Crawford and Canelo Alvarez, saying it will be exceedingly difficult to pick a winner. He mentioned that Canelo naturally carries more weight and has considerable hitting power, citing his personal experience in the ring with him. Amir remembers clearly feeling the strength and size disparity. Yet, he also remembered Crawford feeling physically large when they battled. The main difference, according to Amir, is the force behind their blows, with Crawford clearly hitting hard. Amir felt that Canelo's power was more explosive and capable of eliminating battles in a single instant.
Hard fight to call Canelo Crawford, because Crawford is a big guy as well. I mean, I normally would say Canelo because he's a bigger guy, but and normally he's bigger than his opponents and he puts on the weight well. And when I fought him, he was much heavier and bigger than me. But then again, when I fought against Crawford was as big as Canelo. But I just don't feel that Crawford hits as hard as Canelo. Canelo hits very hard. I mean, his power is, his power is like unreal.
Yeah.
I mean, I think you watch the fight and you see.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Well, with Crawford's got power. Don't get me wrong, Crawford's got amazing power. But the thing is that it's not that knockout power that Canelo has. Now, you have to understand.
Later in the interview, Amir Khan discussed how closely matched the boxes are. He stated that both fighters have incredible skill and are nearing the end of their boxing careers, while Crawford has recently impressed and helped Amir in preparing for his final fight. Amir admitted that he leans somewhat toward Canelo. He stated that while some fans think Canelo slowing down, Amir still sees him as extremely dangerous. He stated the showdown has a lead on both sides and that the winner would be determined by the fighter with the best mix of talent, speed, and timing. He described it as a true toss-up that might go any way.
Canelo 10 years ago or so. Now, is that the same Canelo that is out there now? A lot of people saying Canelo's maybe past his best. Now with Crawford, Crawford's come off some good wins, looking really good, but still the age is very similar. Both guys are getting on towards the end of their career. I think it's evenly matched, but I do lean more towards Canelo in this one, even though Crawford's a very close friend of mine and helped me in my training camp for my last fight. But it's a hard fight to call because both fighters are at the top of the game. I think it's something that boxing's not seen for a very, very long time, where you've got two fighters. It's hard to say who's going to win. It is a 50-50 fight. Is it skill or power that's going to win, or is it skill or speed that's going to win the fight? We don't know. So
Richardson Hitchens expressed his belief that Terence Crawford has a legitimate chance of defeating Canelo Alvarez, despite the fact that he is a totally different boxer from those who have previously beaten Canelo, such as Floyd Mayweather and Dimitri Bivol. Hitchens said that Crawford's intelligence and ring IQ could allow him to make his own road to victory without imitating anyone else's style. He thinks Crawford should simply focus on his strengths and take his own strategy. However, Hitchens was careful not to predict the knockout, noting that Canelo had never been stopped and wondering if even someone as accomplished as Crawford could be the first to do so.
Crawford is one of the most crappiest dudes that Canelo gonna be in the ring with. Hand speed, IQ, long arms, speed, power. Switch hitter. I just think that it's gonna be a lot for. It's gonna be something different for Canelo, but I think Canelo's Canelo. Canelo been first title defense was in 2011 versus Ricky Hatton, and he's still on top to the present time. So this is over 10 years. We're going on like 15 years of this guy fighting on the championship level. So there's nothing new for him. So I do believe that it's gonna be a huge fight for both guys. But obviously I'm backing Bud. I have a personal relationship with Terence Crawford, and he's a black fighter, and I do want to see my own winning. I think Bud is a great guy, especially always being hands-on with the young fighters coming up behind him, guys like me, Shakur, Devin Haney, being in the gym with guys like us, and just giving us free game and shit like that. So I think that would be motivation for the young ones behind him, to show them like, yeah, like I could do it, like you could do it too. So I really want to see Bud win that fight, and I think that he can.
Jermel, after watching his brother Jermel struggle against Canelo following a weight move, Charlo cautioned Crawford not to make the same mistake. He added that Crawford's goal should not be to duplicate Canelo's strength, but rather to keep the attributes that identify him best, like his quick footwork, mobility, and ring awareness. Charlo made it clear that changing too much for a larger division could be detrimental to Crawford, and that sticking with what has always worked will give him the best chance of success.
All right, my brother Canelo, not me. I like Crawford in this fight, and he gets to stay big. But my brother even told me that was his mistake that he made. He thought going up in weight, I gotta get massive, I gotta get big to beat Canelo. It made him slower, it made his reflexes slower. He'll tell you himself. It didn't feel like the Jermell Charlo that y'all seen him fight Tony Harrison. Crawford, I feel like that's the same thing as happening. You want to get big to try to absorb Canelo punches and all this, but that's not, technically, that's not the Crawford that we're gonna see. And then Crawford going up there to fight Canelo at 68, when he's not a 68 pounder, where's the motivation? Y'all gotta think about it like
Big
that.
for Crawford.
The money is good, but I don't expect Terrence Crawford to be the Terrence Crawford that was knocking out Gamboa, doing all. I don't expect that type of Terrence Crawford.
But does it look Canelo?
I'm not picking either one of their.
Jim Lampley gave a more balanced viewpoint, albeit he leaned somewhat against Canelo due to the natural size differential. He praised both fighters for their long-term competitiveness at the top level. Lampley saw Crawford's versatility in transitioning between attacking and defending as a potential important aspect, especially in the later rounds when fatigue may disrupt the flow of the fight.
You're not going to beat Canelo until somehow over a long period of time Canelo beats himself. If he gets tired of all the discipline he has had to employ to make all the money he's made, if he has enough giant ranches in the Yucatan, if he has enough beautiful horses, if he has had enough unforgettable dinners with Mexican billionaires in Mexico City and Vegas, then maybe. But my guess is he will retire without incurring another loss, because it's important to him to do.
Manny Pacquiao also shared his opinions, giving a more objective perspective. The legendary 8-division title holder mentioned Crawford's agility and ability to avoid blows as major benefits, but he also recognized how difficult it is to face someone with Canelo's power and presence. Pacquiao avoided making a final choice, but his words appeared to favor Canelo, while acknowledging Crawford's potential victory.
Canelo versus Crawford. Crawford's moving up like 20 pounds. What do you think? Good. Good for Canelo. Good for Canelo? Don't worry. 16 years old. Manny, any advice on Crawford moving up in weight? You did it so many times. Any advice for Crawford moving up in weight? You did it so many times and you were successful. What do you tell Crawford? Any advice?
My advice to him is just focus on speed and
Timothy Bradley, a former title holder and Hall of Fame inductee, shared his thoughts on Canelo Alvarez and Terrence Crawford's impending fight, expressing concern over one particular habit that Bradley thinks will injure Crawford. Crawford's desire to trade blows could be dangerous against a powerhouse like Canelo.
Terrence never touched the canvas. That was his first time. And it also comes with the fact that Terrence is just, that's his mentality. It's tough. A little bit of me moving forward, that's what scares me about the Canelo fight, to be honest with you. Because
he ain't gonna back down. He ain't gonna back down.
No, not. He's not going back, and he's tough, and that's what scares me about that fight, because you don't need to be training with that bull. Like, I know you're strong.
While acknowledging Crawford's tenacity and talent, Bradley stressed that Canelo has already spent significant time adjusting to the super middleweight division, giving him a natural edge. Crawford, on the other hand, is joining a weight division in which he has never fought before, and his lack of experience at 168 pounds could prove to be a huge impediment if the fight evolves into a close, action-packed encounter. But that guy is naturally strong, and he's been in his weight class for a long time, so he's relaxed. You don't need to trade with him at all. Regardless, Showbiz, the adult, stated that the contest between Canelo Alvarez and Terence Crawford has become more balanced, especially after witnessing how easily Williams Skull maneuver and avoid Canelo. Still, he remembered how good Madrimov looked against Crawford at 154, as well as how Ortiz handled Madrimov, which gave him the idea that both Canelo and Crawford were on the decline. He noticed that Crawford is not the kind to run, and that, while Crawford is slightly taller, the height difference is not significant. Showbiz mentioned that fighters of Canelo's size are frequently stopped unless they are someone like Floyd Mayweather. He still thinks Canelo will win by knockout, but admits his confidence in that scenario has diminished.
Has gotten a little closer because of Williams Skull, how he moved around and how easy it seemed to get away from Canelo if you wanted to move around. But at the same time, I haven't forgotten how good Madrimov looked against Crawford at 154 and what Ortiz did to Madrimov. I do think Canelo has slipped, but it seems to be obvious to me also that Crawford has slipped. Another thing, Crawford is not going to run. Now, Crawford is a little bit taller than Canelo, but that's not tall enough. I haven't seen anyone match Canelo's height that closely in a very long time. And when they do, if your name not Floyd Mayweather, you're usually going night-night. I still have Canelo by night, but I don't feel the same confidence.
Joel Diaz firmly stated that Terence Crawford has no real chance of beating Canelo Alvarez, even though Crawford is his favorite fighter and the best pound-for-pound boxer in his opinion. Diaz explained that moving from 147 pounds to 168 is a huge jump, and while Crawford might look good in the early rounds, the size and power difference would eventually take over. He mentioned that Canelo has taken shots from big punchers like Gennady Golovkin without serious trouble, and if Canelo is being hit by Triple G, the division's hardest hitter, and it has never injured him. Yet, Canelo will hit Crawford and hurt him. Diaz compared the situation to when Demetrius Andrade stepped up in weight to meet David Benavidez. Andrade was sharp at first, but faded quickly, and the power and weight edge set in. Diaz thinks Crawford might suffer a similar conclusion. He stated that, despite Crawford's world-class talent, the physical disadvantage is simply too big. Diaz believes that once the size disparity becomes obvious, the entire fight changes. To him, this matchup looks to be more of a business decision than a fair game. He sees it mostly as a vehicle for Crawford to make a large payout rather than a real chance to win.
For the fight with Benavidez and Demetrius Andrade, Demetrius Andrade was a great fighter. Nobody wanted to fight him at 54. He moved to 60. Fight 1 or 2. Nobody wanted to fight him at 60. So what did he do? He moved up to 68 because there was nothing for him to fight Benavidez, a big fighter like that. I mean, look what he did in the first early round. Demetrius Andrade was in control. He was doing great. But once that weight starts kicking in, it takes over. There is no way that Crawford can beat Canelo. I mean, Turkey on the cheek. It's a big fan of Terence Crawford. Wants to give him a good payday. Simple as that. That's all.
Shocker Stevenson said he thinks Bud Crawford will defeat Canelo Alvarez. He admitted that Canelo is a terrific fighter, but thinks Bud has all of the necessary tools to win. When asked about the weight disparity, Shocker stated that many people speak about it too much, but he does not think it will be a major issue in this battle. He stated that, while David Benavidez is substantially larger, Canelo is not particularly tall and is not significantly larger than Bud. Shocker also recounted a conversation with Bozianis in which they agreed that Bud could possibly stop Canelo if he underestimated his power or made mistakes during the bout. So, what are your thoughts about this? Share your views in the comments box, and please subscribe and like if you appreciated it.